Alright, this video is about the next 4 columns in the production schedule. So these 4 columns are dealing with costs. If you have not already watched the video on the notes on costs, please stop this video right now. Watch that first because this is dealing with actually putting it on our production function. Alright, so the first column that we're putting in is going to be related to fixed costs. Oop, my smartphone was not recognizing my touch. Hold on. So, first column you're putting in is fixed costs. Now, if you remember from the video or from class, fixed costs is going to be the costs that are incurred even if the output is 0. So even if we're not making anything, this is going to be something that we have to pay for. For example, utilities, turning the lights on, water, sewer, trash, internet service, rent. All of those things are included in our fixed costs. Now in the case of our airplane activity, if you remember before we even started making anything, I actually charged you money. So if you remember, I charged you $10 for rent and I charged you $2 for the paper. So add those together, you get $12. So $12 is how much you had to pay before you even started anything. So when we had 0 workers, we didn't even produce anything yet, and we had fixed costs. So our fixed cost at 0 workers was $12. Now, at 1 worker, did you change the amount of rent that I charged you or the amount of paper that I charged you for? The answer is no. So it's still going to be $12. And you guessed it, it's going to be $12 all the way down. So you can fill in $12 all the way down. Remember, it's fixed. It doesn't change. It stays the same. Now, if you are looking at the next column is dealing with variable costs. All right, variable costs, now these are the ones that actually change. So variable costs is, we're actually changing how much it is, okay? So you got to remember variable costs are changed because the output changes. Now in our airplane activity, the only thing that changed was the amount of workers that we had. So that's the only thing that we're going to be paying for that's different. All right. So what we have happening is that our variable cost is going to be equal to the wage, how much I told you we're going to pay our workers, times the number of workers. So if you remember, I told you in class that we were going to pay our workers $2 for every worker. So over in your equation section, remember I have this on the side because that's where my space is, but you have it on the bottom. So variable cost is equal to the wage times the number of workers. So it's $2 times the number of workers. So at 0 workers, we're obviously paying 0 in variable costs because we don't have any workers. At 1 worker, we're multiplying 2 times 1 to get 2. At 2 workers, we're multiplying 2, because that's our wage, times 2, the number of workers, to get 4. At 3 workers, we're multiplying 2, our wage, times 3 workers, to get 6. 4 workers, we're multiplying 2, which is our wage, times 4, to get 8. At 5 workers, we're multiplying 2, which is our wage, times 5, to get 10. At 6 workers, we're multiplying 2, which is our wage, times 6 to get 12. At 7 workers, we're multiplying 2, which is our wage, times 7 to get 14. And you notice a pattern here. I can fill in the rest. 16, 18, 20, and 22. All right, so that's our variable costs. Now, total costs is fixed costs plus variable actually really easy. So we're filling in our total costs here. So our total costs, we're just adding across. So at 0 workers, our total cost is going to be 12. 0 plus 12 is 12. At 1 worker, 12 plus 2 will give you 14. At 2 workers, 12 plus 4 gives you 16. At 3 workers, 12 plus 6 will give you 18. At 4 workers, 12 plus 8, remember we're doing 12 plus 8, if you're curious where I'm getting these numbers, to get 20. At 5 workers, 12 plus 10 will give you 22. At 6 workers, 12 plus 12 will give you 24. At 7 workers, 12 plus 14 will give you 26. At 8 workers, 12 plus 16 will give you 28. At 9 workers, 12 plus 18 will give you 30. At 10 workers, 12 plus 20 will give you 32. And lastly, for 11 workers, 12 plus 22 will give you 34. All right, that's our total costs. Okay, now comes the hard one, marginal costs. Okay, marginal costs is going to start off very similar to how we did marginal product. So marginal cost at 1 worker, remember when we talked about total marginal product, we found the difference between total products. So we're starting the same with marginal costs. We're finding the difference between total costs. So total cost 1 minus total cost 0 divided by marginal product at 1 worker. The reason we have to divide is because if we just do the subtraction, for example, look at 2 workers. At 2 workers, we would take the total cost of 16 minus the total cost of 14, which is 2. And if we did that, that would tell us how much it costs us to produce 2 more airplanes. We want to know how much it costs us to produce 1 more airplane. So we need to divide by the marginal product. So if we're starting with 0 workers, our marginal cost at 0 workers is an undefined. We can't do it. It's just like when we did marginal product at 0 workers. We can't figure it out. We don't have any information. Okay? Remember, a line is different than a 0. Now, at 1 worker, we are subtracting 14 minus 12 to get 2, and we're dividing by 1. So 2 divided by 1 will give you 2. And remember, this is money. That's our marginal cost. At 2 workers, we're subtracting 16 minus 14 to get 2, and we're dividing by 2. So therefore, 2 divided by 2 is 1. At 3 workers, we're subtracting 18 minus 16 to get 2, divided by 3. So 2 divided by 3 is 67 cents, I believe. So you can check my math if you'd like. At 4 workers, we're subtracting 20 minus 18, which is 2, and we're dividing by 5. So 2 divided by 5 will give you 40 cents. Again, you can check my math. For 5 workers, we're subtracting 22 minus 20 to get 2, and we're dividing by 5. So 2 divided by 5 will give you 20 cents. And then for 6 workers, we're subtracting 24 minus 22, which is 2, and we're dividing by 12. So 2 divided by 12 is, what are we at? 1/6, which is . 5 We're doing, I don't have a calculator on me, so. Works out to be something around the range of 16 cents, 17 cents. So we'll 17 cents, which by the way, you have to put this in decimal points. You cannot put it in fractions because remember this is money. By 7 workers, we're subtracting 26 minus 24, which is 2 divided by 5. We already did that. That's 40 cents. For 8 workers, we are subtracting 28 minus 26, which is 2 divided by 4, which is 50 cents. There we go. And at 9 workers, we are subtracting 30 minus 28 to get 2 divided by 3. And we've already done that, so that's 67 cents. At 10 workers, we're subtracting 32 minus 30 to get 2 divided by 1. We've already done that. That is 2. And the last one we can't do. The reason you can't do the last one is because we would be dividing by a negative number. And if you divide by a negative number, you get a negative cost, which doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work out. You can't do it. Okay? So that's how you figure out the marginal costs. Now, keep in mind that I can go and give you this information, but I can also go and give you reduced amount of information. You can still figure it out. So, for example, gotta be careful with my eraser here. Would you be able to figure out the rest? Okay. Would you be able to figure out the rest? Well, yes, you can. You could potentially start with, and even if I did, and I could erase all the black, my marginal costs as well, but I won't. Okay. What do you start with? Well, you can start with one of 2 things. I gave you enough information that you can figure out the fixed costs. So you could start with, for example, figuring out you can do 22 minus 10 will give you 12. And you know that fixed costs stay the same irregardless, so you can then go and fill in 12 all the way down and up. Or you can start with your variable costs, and you're going to take your variable cost, which is $10 at 5 people. So you're paying $10 to 5 people. So how much are you paying one person? We're going to take your $10 divided by your 5, and that will give you your wage, okay? Which is also how much you pay one worker. So now you can fill in 2, 4, because you're multiplying 2 times the number of workers. So keep this in mind, okay? And then even if I left a whole bunch of these total costs blank, you can also fill that in as well. And then you can go and fill in your marginal costs, which I just didn't want to erase it and rewrite it. So hopefully that answers questions about how to do the costs, the 4 costs column. If you have any questions, let me know.